Sure, I'm Pat, and this is the Happiness Spectrum, and this is the fifth talk in a series on personal management and how to lead a life worth living and be happy. Using smart objectives to translate passion and interests into achievable outcomes or expectations. Smart objectives are often used with annual business plans or with employee performance reviews, but are equally helpful in defining realistic personal outcomes. Typically, these passions and interests are substantive things: an overseas trip or writing a book, making furniture, artwork, running a campaign, or a conservation project, for example. And if you meet your expectations on achieving one of these, you feel really good and happy. You feel you have a life worth living. It's obvious, but sometimes we don't plan these well and give them realistic timescales. We think we can do more in one day than is possible. So here's how I think about my interests and how I break them into manageable parts that I call projects. Here's an example of one of my current projects. Rats and mice are introduced pests and are a major predator of native birds and insects here in New Zealand. We have lots of birds on our property, and unfortunately we also have a healthy rat and mouse population. So I'm going to create a rat trap line across the property to reduce the rat population and allow more birds to breed. It's the sort of thing that could be on my to-do list for years and never get done. Have a quick listen to our dawn chorus. So I have a project to create a rat trap line because I'm passionate about the natural world and our beautiful bird song. This is how I think about this sort of thing. I use the mnemonic SMART to help me create an objective for this project. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timetabled. So how many traps do I need? One every 50 meters along a line across the property. Each line is about 100 meters apart. Therefore, on our property, a dozen traps are needed. And I'm going to make a simple wooden tube with mesh ends because rats like to be able to see through a tunnel. A hole allows the rat in one end, and there's a trap in the tube. Snap. End of rat. I'm going to make one trap a month as life is busy with other things. Therefore, my SMART objective, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timetabled objective, becomes to create a rat trap line across the property, making 12 traps over the next year. It's specific, 12 traps. It's measurable, trap lines in place, or the number of dead rats. It's achievable, simple, easy to make traps. It's realistic. One trap a month should be doable amongst the rest of daily life. It's timetabled. I'm going to do it in a year. This is an example of being realistic about your passions and interests. It's about planning and setting realistic timetables so that when you're in the doing phase, the action phase, and when you complete a project, you meet your expectations and you're happy about it. As an aside, if you're interested in rats and other predators of New Zealand, visit the Predator Free New Zealand website. And if you want to see a picture of the first rat trap tunnels being made, look on the website happinessspectrum.jimdofree.com. I've mentioned it before. I use another mnemonic, PALM: plan, act, reflect, modify. The above example illustrates the planning and action. You'll also reflect on what is working and what is not, therefore modifying as you learn along the way. This is a way of thinking that may seem too logical and not spontaneous enough for you. However, if you're procrastinating about starting something, Or if you're agonizing over something, or you're frustrated because you never get to that task that really is interesting, then this way of thinking is helpful. If you never get to the interesting, important things in life, how can you be happy? The next talk will cover project management.